Namaste guys. So today's class is on grammar from Nelson Mandela and poetry. Okay, I'm not gonna read this. Okay, so the second topic is idiomatic expression. You have to basically look at both the phrases given in two columns here, column A and column B, and then match them. All right. It's easy. Okay, just read the sentences given in the box and then try and match them. All right. You can do this in your textbook and then make sure you don't lose your textbook. Okay. So the next topic, guys, is phrases. Okay. Again, I won't explain to you guys what phrases are because I've been studying them since grade one. Um, there are some phrases given on top in the box, blue box. Okay, and below are some sentences. So you basically have to just fill in the blanks. All right. For instance, it requires such depths of aggression, and the answer is to create such heights of character. So this is easy stuff, all right. And I want to keep this video as short as possible. So if there are any doubts, please make sure that you call me or drop a message. Okay, so the next up is homophones, all right. Now these are a pair of words that sound very much alike, all right. They sound similar in terms of their pronunciation, but have distinctly different meanings, all right. So sometimes they may be spelled also alike. That's very rare though, okay. But just understand that these are words that sound very similar but have different meanings. I'll give you a few examples in the next slide, right? Okay, guys, so examples. I'll just read two of them, okay, for you to understand. First is break, break. When teaching my daughter how to drive, I told her if she did not hit the brake in time, she would break the car's side mirror. So the first brake here is BRAKE, the car brake, and the second brake is BREAK, that's braking stuff. All right. The second example is here and here. I wanted to sit here so I could hear the singer performing without any distractions. All right. The first here is being here in this place, and the second here is being able to hear people talk. All right. So these are the examples. Okay, guys. Now let's talk about Leslie Norris. Okay. So he was born in 1921. He passed away in 2006, which is very recently. He was a prize-winning Welsh poet and story writer. Okay, one thing you should know about him is up to 1974, he earned his living um, as a college professor, and in 1974, at the request of his wife, he took up to writing as his full-time job. Okay, and became a very successful writer. His wife's name was Catherine, and it's not relevant, but just for your information. Yeah, so today he is considered one of the most important Welsh writer, uh, Welsh writers of the post-war period, right? Uh, Now there is something you must know about Norris, okay? That is, as a child, Norris had to witness World War One. In fact, his father had to join the war. I mean, it's not like he had a choice, right? He didn't even go to school. I don't think anybody had a choice back then. Just saying. But yeah, Norris then growing up had to again witness the Great Depression, and as an adult, he had to join the second war. Okay, now think about it, the kind of journey he had, right? And these things affect you, right, as a person. This, I mean, psychology says that whatever you go through as a child, it stays with you for the rest of your life, right? And that is probably why his writing also reflected his observations from the Great Depression. Okay, that is also why we have this poem by him titled Tiger in the Zoo, where he talks about how animals are being caged. Okay, and I think it all comes from his observations. He saw inhumanity in its raw form. he witnessed chaos, he witnessed violence in its true form. Okay, and that must have had such an impact on his life, right? So all that was consumed had to come out in some form, right? And he used writing as his medium of expression. Okay, and that is why writing is such a powerful medium of expression, right? So if you read about his writing, it talks about inhumanity. Okay, it talks about everything that's that comes out of war in a way. So yes, that way you should read him. Okay, it's an important. It's a very important that you read him and you understand from his perspective what war does to people. Okay. Okay, so when Leslie was a teenager, he sent his very first poem to this very famous poet called Vernon Watkins. And surprisingly, Watkins didn't really like his poem that much. He thought it wasn't profound. But what he did was he actually told Leslie that it wasn't good enough, and he gave him advice, which helped Leslie a lot in terms of building his writing skills and being a confident writer. Okay, so you should know that Leslie looked up to Dylan Thomas and Vernon Watkins a lot growing up. Okay, yeah, the part in the box, please read it to yourself. Okay, read the text for more information. I want to keep this as short as possible. Okay, guys, the last slide. Okay, so to cover up everything, Leslie grew up in Wales during the Great Depression, as we talked about it earlier. Now, how did he escape the chaos? Okay, what he did was he read good books. Okay, and he played his favorite sport. Okay, so as a kid, he was just like any other kid, liked reading books and loved playing football. Okay, uh, then throughout school, he was always involved in sports and especially boxing and football. Okay, now it's only at the age of 12 that he took to writing and fell in love with it. Okay, so he just knew since the age of 12 that he wanted to be a writer. Alright. Um, so growing up, he basically looked up to poets like Werner Watkins and William Thomas. Okay, and I told you that how he sent his very first poem to Werner Watkins and got a very sort of a critical feedback, right? Constructive criticism. The first poem that he ever wrote was in 1938. All right. Sorry, the first poem that he ever published was in 1938. Okay, at the age of 17. And that same year, sadly, he had to drop out of college or out of school, sorry, because of his financial problems. Okay, now he had to take up a job to support the family. He became a rates clerk in the town hall. All right. Now, what's interesting is that at the age of 19, he joined the Air Force, right? The Royal Air Force, the Second World War, basically. And again, when he had gone to train as a pilot, he had to drop out of it because of food poisoning. So he was back to square one now. Okay, he had to take up his old job. Okay, and I just imagine. I mean, again, his life. Every time he tried something, it didn't work out. Okay, it's like the only thing that always worked out for him was writing. Okay, and this is very interesting for me. It's intriguing also. It also almost makes me believe in destiny. It's like he was destined to be a writer. That's why it never worked. Like nothing ever worked out. Okay, and I think this is why I find his journey pretty interesting. All right, I'd urge you guys to read him if possible. I mean, obviously, we're going to read his poem, Tiger in the Zoo. But if you can read more of his works, okay, get to know him better, all right? That's the whole point of having these writers prescribed here, so that you read more of them. It's not about this poem only, it's about going beyond this poem and reading more of them, all right? So, yeah, this is it about Leslie Norris. If you have any questions, feel free to message, call, anything.